The crew of HMS Queen Elizabeth complete their sea trials and return to port now. New to yesterday, we've got unprecedented access aboard Britain's biggest warship.
HMS Queen Elizabeth is the largest warship ever built for the Royal Navy, by far. Stretching longer than the Houses of Parliament and standing taller than Nelson's Column, an aircraft carrier so immense that different sections have had to be constructed in different shipyards throughout Great Britain, and then transported by barge to Scotland for final assembly. This is the inside story of Britain's biggest warship. Portsmouth Harbour, on the south coast of England. The Royal Navy base at HMS Queen Elizabeth will eventually call home. The trouble is, the ancient port is not deep enough to take Queen Elizabeth's massive bulk. At 65,000 tons, she's 3 times bigger than the Navy's last aircraft carrier, HMS Illustrious, here waiting to be broken up for scrap. For the last 2 years, dredgers have been working round the clock in an enormous operation to deepen the seabed. Over 4 million tons of sand, silt and gravel have had to be removed, as well as all manner of objects that litter the seabed, from twisted steel cables and rusty anchors to barnacle-encrusted 19th century cannons, and from old discarded torpedo engines to rather more ominous devices.
I mean, I can feel it. It's going into a cone. How's the shape feel? It's slightly pointy.
Pointy. It's kind of a bomb shape.
The news at 6 from BBC Radio Solent. A controlled explosion's due to be carried out this morning on an unexploded German World War II bomb that's been found at Portsmouth Harbour.
The Royal Navy says the 500-kilogram device was located by a barge carrying out dredging works. The work is taking place to prepare for the arrival of the new aircraft carrier, HMS Queen Elizabeth.
Roger, that is fuses burning 5 minutes to detonation. Over.
Few could have guessed that even as HMS Queen Elizabeth was being built, one of Hitler's bombs had been lying in wait for nearly 80 years. Close call. But that was 18 months ago. Right now, 700 miles away, Queen Elizabeth is in the Moray Firth off the east coast of Scotland. In the final 3 weeks of make or break sea trials, testing her manoeuvrability and speed.
Here, the ship's company is reminded that the ship will continue to roll heavily due to steering gear trials for approximately the next 30 minutes. That is all.
3, 2, 1, mark. Starboard 35. Rate of turn increasing to starboard.
After extended repairs following a dislodged propeller, the crew are once again putting her through her paces, on the straight and on the turn. But everybody's worst fear is that the propeller blades will become loose again.
You're good, mate, you're good.
After 2 days of high-speed trials, the ship stops in the middle of the North Sea so divers can check the propellers are intact. It's a real moment of truth.
Check the alignment.
Yes, I would say this one is aligned perfectly.
It looks good. Everything fine. How are you feeling?
Relieved. Relieved, yeah. That's what we wanted. No movement on any of the blades, even though we've been sort of thrashing around the North Sea for a couple of days. No, good result. Good result.
I reckon you'll be able to sleep well tonight, Pat.
When we get to Portsmouth eventually, that's when I'll be very happy.
The ship is ship-shape once again and heads further into the North Sea for more trials.
Ready to 35 port. Very good. So shall I come around to starboard?
We've been poling up and down the Moray Firth. It's been fantastic, flat calm, very quiet shipping-wise. So we've really cracked on with power propulsion. And I have to say, I could be careful if you touch lots of wood, but it's gone pretty well. I'm really pleased. All the indications we had when we first took her to sea that first couple of days, that she's solid, she's sound, we're getting power when we want, we're getting faster speeds than we were expecting. And this is no rubbish, you know, this is fact. She looks pretty good. So delighted. I've got to be careful because I won't tempt fate, but we're pushing through the trials really well.
Midships.
On board, 700 men and women continue to get to grips with their brand new supercarrier, the floating grey city.
Oh God, Alex! I'm all right, I think.
What's your favourite work on board, Kirsty?
I love doing cocktail parties and like dinners and things like that. That's like my forte of what I used to do in Civvy Street as well. So yeah, they're the more glamorous side of things, other than cleaning cabins and doing ironing.
Everyone works for a particular branch: logistics, weapons engineering, marine engineering, aviation, or warfare.
Range 800 yards.
I wanted to be out in the open, something different, something exciting, and gunner was the best route for me to do that. I need to be out in the open, shooting, I guess. It's exciting.
Bob Hawkins has been in the Navy for 38 years.
That still hasn't been cleaned up yet. I must get that done this evening.
He is the first lieutenant on Queen Elizabeth, responsible for welfare, discipline and morale.
The captain is particularly interested in that you know what your escape plans are.
And it's Bob's job to oversee evening rounds, a naval tradition since the time of Henry VIII. This involves a senior officer checking in with every mess deck every evening to deliver information or to hear about concerns.
Just let us settle down, fellas. I will keep taking your feedback on Scran if it doesn't appear to be working. Okay?
Dan, you know when to film in for the pyjama thing, you know when to shout girls you're on. Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth is the first Royal Navy warship to have a dedicated television station and onboard studio, Sovereign TV.
It's about to go on, are you?
Yeah, me and Charlotte are about to go on for the very first live broadcast on Sovereign TV.
And we're very nervous.
Yeah.
Very nervous. You just
Girls,
have to
you're
lick
on.
it. Oh, good evening, HMS Queen Elizabeth, and welcome to the very first live broadcast on Sovereign TV. It's nice to see you.
Nice!
They're going to be broadcasting their own homegrown programmes, from quiz shows to comedies.
Pizza is still frozen.
Mad scientist.
And one channel will be dedicated to naval films and documentaries.
It was when they announced that they were sending women to sea. I was in the middle of a PhD.
And today is the start of an old series from the mid-90s, filmed soon after women started serving on warships. And it's starring a young Bob Hawkins.
The greatest thing that I enjoy about the Navy is the camaraderie, still the sense of purpose. Despite things changing around the world, the Cold War no longer being there is still a great sense of purpose of wishing to do well. But personally, the thing I've had to overcome over the last few years is women at sea.
3, 2, 1.
Because I enjoy the male camaraderie in the Navy, and I enjoy the aggression of a warship. I'm not sure whether the fairer sex, as I still like to think of them. Quote equal rights to me till you're blue in the face. But they are the fairer sex. They're childbearers, you know, and I'm old-fashioned enough to think that, you know, we are the people that should protect them.
I thought he did it in such a graceful way until that last comment. So graceful. And then childbearers just came out of his mouth like, wow. Quite a strong statement to make, isn't it?
That could be ships that went into the...
My view was then, and still is, Chris, this is personally speaking now, Bob Hawkins, that it is a very, very difficult thing to do for a country. To send anyone in their population into war, it's a vicious, nasty business. To elect to do that with our female population, for me, is still a dilemma for me. What that doesn't mean, though, that does not mean that I don't value the contribution that our women make. Indeed, the notion that we do not recruit and train and employ 50% of our population, I think is unacceptable in 2017 that we wouldn't do that. And indeed, when I look at the women that I serve with now, I would not want to go to sea without them. We got the best, we got the cream of the crop, some of the best women in the United Kingdom. And I would be dishonest with myself if I try to pretend that I don't still think it is wrong for our women to go to war. But that is juxtaposed with the fact that I really enjoy courage and skill and commitment of the women that I serve with now. I would not want to go to war without them. That's the dilemma for me.
Another female instructor on Queen Elizabeth is 29-year-old Petty Officer Emma Ranson, in charge of upper deck firefighting, one of the most dangerous jobs on any aircraft carrier.
Okay, so how we go about that is you've got your water tank there, and then we've got the water valve. Originally when I did join, I didn't get told about any of the firefighting side. So that was a little bit of a culture shock when all of a sudden I was dressed in fire kit, and I was quite a girly girl then as well, so that was not really what I was expecting, but it's an outdoors type of branch. We work up on the flight deck, and the firefighting side I absolutely love now. When I first joined I wasn't overly keen on it, but sort of now the more I've been doing it, and I also do a lot of the training side as well, I really enjoy it. Bear in mind, on a crash on deck, what does the ship do? Turns into wind, okay? So as soon as it turns into wind, we'll get roughly about 40 metre throw from this, okay? A couple of weeks ago, we had a trial of this. The throw on this was unbelievable, and that's when we had a lot of wind going to us. Absolutely phenomenal piece of kit, okay?
About to commence Royal Navy training exercise. No action to be taken.
We're testing all the pipes and tubes around the ship, which that's just thousands of miles. And part of that system is the pre-wet, which is where we can shove a lot of water into a mist system around the flight deck if we're in a nuclear fallout area. So all the nuclear fallout gets washed over the side very quickly. We also use the same pipe work for a serious fire or a crash on your deck.
You're going to catch us with it? Look at us! We look disgusting! It didn't taste very good. It probably looked better than it felt to do it. Yeah, it was pretty disgusting. I didn't realise it was salt water at the time. What is this all about?
It's if we had a fire on the flight deck.
Correct, this is for dealing with large fuel fires on the flight deck, ladies. So we can cover the whole deck in its entirety with foam and water. Good, isn't it?
Very impressive.
In the event of fire, as well as the spray system known as pre-wet, the firefighting teams will move in immediately with foam hoses and supported by the crash fire vehicles.
It's a big deck. The reason we've got the vehicles now is because it would take Usain Bolt to get 30 seconds to one end of this deck to the other. So the reality is the crash fire rescue vehicles are really quite important to us, and I'm really pleased that we've got them.
But what if an inferno can't be suppressed? It's difficult to exaggerate how dangerous an aircraft carrier can be. A crash on deck is everyone's greatest fear. Ensuing fires can quickly turn into infernos, and if not contained, they will spread rapidly to threaten the ship and everyone on board. On Queen Elizabeth, if all seems lost, there is a last resort. It's the doomsday option, when the water pipes are primed with foam fire suppressants that will enshroud the entire flight deck. This is a first for any warship in the fleet.
going into it, so you have to take samples from each of the jets, if you like. So each of the nozzles that's coming up, you've got to take a sample of the foam and water that's coming up to make sure it's at the right concentration, because if it's too weak or too thick, it won't extinguish the fire the way we want it to. So yeah, it's a manual way of doing it, but it's effective.
It's not rocket science, and I would never declare that there'd be too much rocket science applied to any of our design. It has to be simple, and it has to be ruggedised such that Jack can deal with it. So it's essentially a multifunctional spray system, so it's good news. And it's a great day out for everyone who comes up for the foam party, but my boys now got to clear that rubbish up. And that is going to take them under the Sundays, because AFFF is extremely corrosive. So having had a brand new deck laid for us by the company, which is really nice, we've now covered it in that stuff. We've got to get that off the deck pretty quickly, and then freshwater wash it. So we're going to look for a rain cloud. The captain's going to go looking for rain now to see if we can wash it off the deck.
Just amazing. I'd never known anything like this in the Navy before. Now that we've got it, QE once again, first of everything. I mean, what more can we ask for? So it's just, as I said, the foam, the sheer scale of it is just, it brings a warm fuzzy feeling that we know if we potentially do have a crash on deck, we're sorted.
It's the following week, and the last episode of Bob's Naval series is being shown.
It's very difficult to watch that, Chris. Just 11 years later, in 2005, Joan passed away, fortunately. We'd been married just short of 19 years, and it's extraordinarily sad, the whole process of bereavement. So I mean, it was 12 years ago that she passed away, but the intensity of the sadness doesn't seem to diminish. I can't imagine what it must be like for my sons who lost their mother.
So Bob, is it the loss of Joan that makes you think the way you do about women on warships?
Yes, indeed. It kind of crystallises who I am as a person. The notion that a mother should be put into war and that her children would lose her if she died in combat. I just would not want them. I wouldn't want anybody to lose their dad. But having seen the pain that my sons have suffered,
I've only ever known this Navy where females do all jobs. If anything did kick off, then yes, I will be on the upper deck with the guys on the guns and direct them. It's just, that's part of it. So I don't think about it often. If it happens, then you just get on with it.
What we're going to do next time for you guys is we're going to park you on a little bit of an angle. My personal decision is I've chose this career path, and it's a path that I'm really proud of, and I love it. I absolutely love my job, and regardless if we possibly go to war or not,
I'll never change it. That's how I feel.
Get the next guys in PPE for me. All right, thank you.
4 days later, Queen Elizabeth heads up to the Orkney Islands, to a place called Scapa Flow, a very special place for the Royal Navy. It was home of the British Grand Fleet during the First World War, and an important naval base during the Second World War.
So weather suitable. As briefed earlier, the timings would be looking to be in the gap for 7:30, to give ourselves an hour to an hour and a half in the flow itself.
I mean, this is a huge space. I mean, the Grand Fleet was in here in the First World War. But I'd rather not rush out because it's such a special occasion, and that's very, it's a historical occasion.
But for Queen Elizabeth, Scapa Flow has particular and poignant significance. For this is the birthplace of the first aircraft carrier, exactly 100 years ago today. On the 2nd of August 1917, HMS Furious, a converted battlecruiser, became the first moving landing strip in the world, when a Sopwith Pup biplane, with a little help from below, landed successfully, if a little bumpily. The pilot was 25-year-old Squadron Commander Edwin Dunning.
So there he is. So he was born in 1892, died. Of course, he did the flight here 100 years ago, and then the following week died.
I believe it was his third attempt, turbulence or something, and the aircraft went over the ship's side.
Yeah.
And he was knocked unconscious and drowned in the aircraft.
Check quarters. Airport. 5 cables to run, expected depth 36 metres, on track. Expecting to anchor in 35 metres of water. Bottom type is rock. 4 cables to run, expected depth 36 metres, on track. Knock speed now 6 knots reducing.
Some of the most significant naval action of World War II began in Scapa Flow. The hunt for the German battleship Bismarck started here, as did raids on her sister ship, the Tirpitz. This was the base for Arctic convoy escort ships that took vital war supplies to northern Russia. But Scapa Flow was not all about success for the Royal Navy.
The most significant event of the start of the Second World War for the Royal Navy, and perhaps the nations, was here, when on the 14th of October 1939, Günther Prien, a magnificent U-boat commander, German U-boat commander, steeled into Scapa Flow, and he sank 2 ships, one of them being HMS Royal Oak, who is lying in 33 metres of water, just a few cables away from where we are anchored now.
Bridge bosun, content for the launch, awaiting the launch from the bridge.
880 men perished. It's remarkable that we have 2 descendants of the Royal Oak on board HMS Queen Elizabeth. So we're looking to pay our respects.
A bit further on, coxswain. Got it? Okay.
Right, we're on top of the wreck now. Okay, Nathan Logan, BAE. Leader Charles, Air Department. Underneath here is HMS Royal Oak. You both have relatives that passed away in the ship. So your grandfather, Nathan?
Yeah.
Your great-grandfather, Leader Charles?
That's correct, sir.
God bless them. They are approximately 30 metres beneath you now. 14th of October 1939. Günther Prien got in here in his U-boat. Günther Prien hit with 1 torpedo and then hit with a 2nd torpedo. 880 men lost their lives that day. I think what would be appropriate right now is a minute's silence in honour of those people. That's 1 minute, gentlemen. I think we'll conclude with a rousing cheer. We'll do 3 cheers for HMS Royal Oak. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! God bless them.
Quite poignant. I lost my father this year, so he'd have been very proud of the fact that we went out and paid our respects.
It was important to come here for myself, obviously being in the Navy as well, but also for my nan, to be able to pay my respects to her father. I'm sure she's going to appreciate that. We've been out here and we've done it.
From honouring over 800 killed on the Royal Oak in 1939 to honouring Squadron Commander Dunning killed in 1917. Although drowned attempting another landing 5 days after his first, his achievement was to revolutionise naval warfare by proving aircraft could operate at sea. And today, 100 years later, the most advanced aircraft carrier in the world has come to pay her respects.
Right, let's do.
A salute from the ship, followed by a salute from the air.
Well, it's a sign of things to come. It's good for the crew on the deck to see this because, well, it's the whole trainer. It's a sign of things to come, which is great. Next year, the F-35s.
F-35 Lightning fighters are the warplanes that will eventually launch off Queen Elizabeth's ski jump.
This is the inside story of how the Nazis were defeated. Not on the battlefields of Europe, but in the epic fight behind the scenes.
You need planes, tanks, armoured personnel carriers. It requires a hell of a lot of machinery.
Through mass production and innovation, these were the factories that helped change the course of the war.
The oil had completely transformed the war effort on both sides.
And continue to shape the modern world today.
100 years on, Fiat is still playing a leading role in Italian politics.
A new and original series, War Factories, returns Wednesday the 5th of August on Yesterday.
These top-secret stealth jets are being developed in the United States, including a maritime variant capable of hovering. This will be flown by both naval and RAF pilots from the supercarrier.
We're just taxiing out now from our test unit. We'll be taxiing down to the main runway for the test takeoff.
41-year-old Nathan Gray is a Royal Navy Top Gun pilot, based here at Pax River to test the F-35.
Every time I see this aircraft fly in any way, shape or form, it makes you want to be there and flying it. It really does. The designers have done an excellent job aesthetically, but overall, it's going to be an absolute game changer. What's fantastic for future development is the hardware is already cutting edge, but the software we're continually updating. There's a lot of work that goes into developing the software, but actually dropping it into the aircraft is almost as easy as an iPhone update. Is it exciting? I don't think there could be any better job in the world. But when we actually put the first wheel, when the rubber hits the deck, and we have that capability of carrier strikers delivered back to the United Kingdom that we've missed for the last 8 years, that's going to be a huge moment.
It is then that HMS Queen Elizabeth will finally be battle-ready, with arguably the most advanced jet fighter ever made.
Long way from Commander Dunning in 1917.
It's unbelievable, yeah. To look back at Dunning 100 years ago, to look at the ships he was landing on with the aircraft he was in, compared to our aircraft now and the Queen Elizabeth carrier, I mean, you could never have imagined we could make those leaps. And where we'll be again in 100 years' time, who knows? Okay. Let's go.
Queen Elizabeth has been designed around the F-35. The hope is that ship and plane will combine to dominate the battle space to unprecedented levels. The key to their relationship is speed of communications and the ability to keep track of multiple and ever-changing threats in any theatre of war. In other words, always keeping one or more steps in front of the enemy. This really is the stuff of Star Wars.
Whether it's before the mission, so mission planning, whether it's during the mission or whether it's post-mission, the carrier's equipped to efficiently soak the aircraft of all the information that it has and then relay that straight away to the next battle space.
Here's the conversion. Tower have given me the clearance. We're cleared for the ski jump. We're cleared. Here's the power. Plate release.
You feel like you're on top of the world. The thrust of the aircraft, the maneuverability, phenomenal. You feel undefeatable. You feel like you're the king of the castle going into that arena. There is nothing else in the world which will compete with us when we mate the aircraft with the carrier. It's a step way beyond we've ever had before.
The F-35 represents a new dawn for the Royal Navy, one that signifies the strong bond with the United States, Britain's closest naval ally since the days of Squadron Commander Dunning.
Navigating officer speaking. Over the course of the morning watch, the ship has met up with the American carrier group of the USS George Bush. They're currently sat less than 500 yards off our port beam. That is all.
For the last 6 months, USS George Bush has been deployed to the Arabian Gulf, supporting ground troops against ISIS. Right now, she's escorted by warships from the United States, Britain, and Norway.
It's good to see a key ally here alongside us in the Moray Firth, and this is the George H.W. Bush, American nuclear aircraft carrier, with a full phalanx of aircraft ranged on deck. She's just come back from operations and she's off back to the United States for some well-earned leave, I imagine.
But the George Bush type carriers are more traditional in design.
They are in a way, yeah. I mean, they're based on the Nimitz class, which goes back decades. But of course they upgrade internally and so forth. Yeah, fundamentally they're different characters. We started from scratch when we designed the Queen Elizabeth, so we had a free reign, if you like, on the design. So there are subtle differences. They've got one island, we've got two. We're electric propulsion, they're nuclear. This aircraft carrier is the first generation 5 aircraft carrier, an aircraft carrier built around the F-35 Lightning. So we've got lots of innovations and new equipment and mod cons on this aircraft carrier which they don't have. Now, not crowing or boasting, but this is just a different beast. It's a 21st century aircraft carrier. But at the end of the day, we do the same output, which is delivering air power, and it's pretty awesome. We got the American Admiral coming across, who's in charge of the battle group, literally for a flying visit. It's 50 minutes, so a quick bacon roll, a cup of British tea, English tea, and then they'll be off again. Back for that coffee. Jerry, welcome. Come on board. Come this way.
Hey, well done for making it work.
Hey, sir, good to see you.
Cool.
Good to see you. Well,
how's the new car drive?
We're not bad, actually. We're working out the weaknesses and the strengths. Yeah, it's fantastic. But welcome on board, anyway.
Morning. How you doing today?
Good morning, how are you?
So there's a US aircraft carrier just alongside us with 2 frigates, 2 23s. Yeah, so they've just flown on. We've just done them breakfast, so it's exciting. Bacon butties. Traditional English breakfast.
At this stage, 1 UK, 1 US jet.
Bacon butties and English breakfast tea for the US Navy. But next time these 2 ships sail together, they may well be doing so as part of a joint response to some unfolding global crisis.
It's a historic opportunity. The alliance has been there, but when you bring the power between the two countries, and with the addition of Queen Elizabeth, again, the deterrence factor between our two nations is impressive.
More important is, did you enjoy your breakfast?
Had a great breakfast. I would think everybody in the area is getting scared with the Russian saber rattling, and everybody wants to be an ally now. Once you bring this out, now you're the big dog in the AOR.
In the neighborhood.
Yes. He'll Photoshop it out later, but
look at that. With the big beast in the background. Look at that. Fantastic. Love it. Initial impressions were good. I think they're quite interested that the Brits have done something slightly different, different design, and really, the first time this ship's been alongside an American sister. So let's go.
Aircraft crossing the dead zone.
Relax at 5 stations. Relax at 5 stations.
American F-18 Hornets. A salute to Queen Elizabeth from USS George Bush. Excitement over, training must continue. Danny instructs sailors in self-defense and in-ship protection in case of intruders. And with 5 kilometers of passageways and over 3,000 compartments to search, the response force have to be well practiced.
Made him these.
Kirsty's primary role is as steward to the captain.
I brought you a little present.
Oh!
This
Is it a diet cake?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Excellent. In that case, I'm allowed it.
But Kirsty's secondary roles are as first aider and member of the response force. It's also Danny's job to keep everyone, including Kirsty, up to scratch with weapons training.
With an empty magazine, load.
Oh my god, just one sec. I think I put my sling on wrong.
Check the chamber. Front position. Down. Okay, stand up.
Oh my god.
Okay, so the rifle failed to fire. Did your eye try? Hold for much better. Okay.
Terrible.
You don't like weapons?
It's not like I don't like weapons. I just, it is funny because you join the military and you think, oh, I'm going to join as a steward. You have to do you have to handle rifles and this kind of stuff. But I never kind of expected to be fighting intruders. But this is what they do all the time. This isn't what I do. Oh God.
We're going to start from the beginning. All right.
Let's get 4 of you on that leading line.
Queen Elizabeth's first sea trials are drawing to an end. The ship's company is exhausted after nearly 6 weeks at sea. But before heading south to Portsmouth, there's one final stop at Invergordon to refuel. Her first sea trials complete, HMS Queen Elizabeth heads south to her new home of Portsmouth. It'll be the first of many homecomings for Queen Elizabeth over the next 50 years, returning thousands of sailors from time on the high seas to their loved ones ashore. And so the day arrives when Britain's biggest warship prepares to make her long-awaited entrance into Portsmouth, home to the Royal Navy. The crowds have been up all night in anticipation. Thousands have come to see the supercarrier for the first time.
3 cables to run.
It's monumental. It's groundbreaking. It is I think I said it a wee while ago, puts the great back into Great Britain.
Whenever a warship comes into port, according to naval tradition, the ship's company must line the decks facing outwards.
So here we are.
Here we are, finally, yes, in the outer approaches to Portsmouth. Personally, very emotional. Yeah, very emotional. It's been a long day coming. My word, the amount of work we put in to get here. Gracious me. Very proud. Proud for the ship's company who have done so brilliantly well to get us this far. People complain about the modern youth of today. Well, they should come on my ship and see them. They're fantastic. So, for me, near the end of my career, seeing this, the future flagship, and the youngsters on board, it's fantastic. So, very proud.
Oh, over the moon, you know, it's such an early start this morning, but I don't think anybody really cared. You know, we're getting alongside today. I get to spend an hour with my family before they go home. You know, we've all been waiting for this day and it's finally here.
It's going to be massively challenging. It has been so far, and I'm sure it will carry on being. We're the first crew to sail with her, that's for sure. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, I guess. It's definitely something to tell the grandkids.
I feel like when I joined the Navy, this is what I was working up to. So this is sort of the pinnacle of my career now. This is a perfect working environment for me to be in because we've got a bigger deck. We're going to be getting the F-35s. It's just going to make me more and more happy to be part of my branch and part of the Navy and part of HMS Queen Elizabeth Ship's Company. So, exciting times to come.
HMS Queen Elizabeth squeezes into Portsmouth Harbour, newly deepened and cleansed of German bombs. This moment has been a long time coming. 9 years ago, the ship's first steel was cut. 10,000 workers and over 25 million man-hours later, Queen Elizabeth went to sea for the first time. That was just 6 weeks ago. But in that time, Queen Elizabeth has come of age, and so has her crew.
Classic sheeting! Coming in. That's where the danger lies.
700 sailors took her through grueling sea trials to bring Britain's first supercarrier to this point.
Clear, navigating officer speaking.
It's been about proving a warship and also bonding a ship's company.
Thank you.
HMS Queen Elizabeth, the most powerful and capable ship ever to raise the white ensign, she will, in the years and decades ahead, represent this country's resolve on the global stage. At the forefront of these responsibilities will be the men and women of the Royal Navy and Royal Marines, supported by the Army, Royal Air Force, and by coalition partners.
Now, once the white ensign is raised at her stern, HMS Queen Elizabeth will officially become a Royal Navy warship.
And we're stowing away aboard Britain's biggest warship at the same time next Wednesday, new to yesterday. Back on dry land next here though, and there's late night shopping with added laughs. Classic comedy comes open all hours.